I guess you could say this movie, Days of Future Past my expectations. I am so sorry. Did that intro make any sense? I don't think it did. But anyway, X-Men Days of Future Past is a sequel to X-Men First Class. It's also a sequel to the original trilogy of X-Men movies directed by Bryan Singer and Brett Ratner, but we don't talk about that one. So, this movie stars Hugh Jackman, James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, Ian McKellen, Patrick Stewart, Ellen Page, just a lot of people are in this movie. And this was one of the movies I was looking forward to on my summer movie list, but it was also a movie that I sort of had a little skepticism with because, I talked about it in my X-Men First Class review. I'm not as big a fan of the Bryan Singer movies as I used to be. So I was optimistic, but I was still sort of skeptical going into this movie, and after seeing it, I have to say I am really impressed. This movie is awesome! The performances are really good. And I mean, even people who aren't getting a lot of screen time, like Peter Dinklage or Patrick Stewart or Ian McKellen, they probably have, the least screen time out of the main characters in the movie. And they did a great job of what they had to work with. But the real standouts here, and I would say the main characters of the film, are once again James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender. These two guys, they did great in First Class, and they just upped the ante so much here. Their performances in this film are just flawless. You really saw this human side to Xavier that you didn't really always get to see. Same goes for Magneto. I mean, Magneto is probably his most malicious here. Some of the things he's doing, this is probably the first time where you could just watch what Magneto's doing and go, yeah, you're kind of a dick. And another standout is Jennifer Lawrence as Mystique. After seeing this movie, she might be better than Rebecca Romijn. Jennifer Lawrence just really expertly plays this early stage of the character, and I really bought how she was feeling about this whole scenario and in some of the ways that she chose to go about the situation that was at hand, and I really like what they did with her character and what Jennifer Lawrence did with the character. They do the stuff in the 70s really well. The way they do some of the scenes in the 70s are just so cool, and some of the backdrops are just so interesting. And something else I really liked about the movie is it's not just action set piece, action set piece, action set piece. It does move at a fast pace, and it does all flow very well together, but there isn't as much action as you would think, and in some superhero movies that would be a bad thing. But here it just fits. It's sort of another genre almost. It's a political thriller, and I really like that because it shows that in these big budget superhero movies you don't have to rely solely on action to tell the story, and you can have these deep character moments and these interesting plot points, and you can do all that without just every 5 seconds being explosions or fights. I really like what they did with this movie. This X-Men movie probably feels the closest to the X-Men comics. There was even stuff in the movie where I thought they were going to ignore how it happened in the comics, and then there was just little hints or little lines that let you know that that is the same as how it was in the comic. If you could get into movies that have really strong characters and really good history backdrops, then you can get into this movie. I feel that can draw in a lot of people who aren't even comic book fans. I feel a lot of people who aren't comic book or X-Men fans can still really enjoy this movie. The only bad thing I have to say about the movie isn't even a major issue. It's just a sort of little nitpick, and it's not even a little nitpick. It's just something they did in the story that sort of made me go, what? But it's such a small moment, and it really doesn't have that much bearing on the rest of the movie that you can completely forget about it. There were parts where I was just cheering and just going out of my mind, and especially the after credit scene. I know I was probably the only person in the theater who was just standing up, just, this probably is my favorite X-Men movie. If It might be a neck and neck with First Class, but I think this might be better than First Class. You should definitely go out and see this movie. It is definitely worth your time. Even if you're not an X-Men fan, or maybe even if you're not a comic book fan, I still say that you should go out and see this movie. I know I'm definitely going to be seeing it at least a second time. Probably more than that. Let's be realistic here. And with that, I'm going to have to give X-Men Days of Future Past top honor. It's just a great movie. You should definitely go out and see it if you get the chance. So, if you like this review, why don't you go to my channel and check out my other reviews? I know I don't have that many right now, but seeing movies is very expensive sometimes. And, hey, if you like what you see there, you can click that little subscribe button. It'll probably be here, I guess. And yeah, so I'm gonna be having more videos coming on the channel soon. Not just reviews. I'm gonna start trying to get more, non-review videos back out there. And yeah, so I'm just sort of dragging this part out so I give you more of a chance to click these little thumbnails, but you don't have to. I mean, sure call. You can do whatever you want. You can follow me on these social media outlets. I can't link to them directly because YouTube has some stupid rules, but they're in the description. So why don't you go do that? You could do that too. I'm really dragging this part out. You should click something. This is starting to get awkward. Okay, I think I'm gonna go now.